Hi, I'm Tricia at Club Scrap. How about we take a trip to the Mediterranean? We don't even have to get on a plane, which makes me happy right about now. But this is the Mediterranean page kit. So we're gonna make 8 12 by 12 scrapbook pages following my instructions, which I've already downloaded for this collection. And to help me keep organized, I've got my accordion pocket file here. If you don't have one of these already, no problem. Don't let that keep you from following along with me. Just reach out to us and we'll help get you set up with one of these for yourself. You actually make it yourself with my help. So grab that and your Fiskars trimmer, hopefully. I've got my instructions printed. You can maybe follow along on your tablet or laptop or whatever, or print them, whatever works for you. And here is that beautiful kit. Now, for starters, I'm gonna take the 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 photo mats, and let's test our filing skills and get these placed into the pockets where they're going to be needed. So each pocket in the organizer represents a double page spread. All right, we're going to start out by grabbing one white photo mat. I'm going to put that in pocket 1 and 2, along with 3 blue mats. So 1, 2, 3. There should be 3 of that color, all going into pocket 1 and 2. Then we're going to take the other 2 white photo mats and put those in pocket 3 and 4. And if you don't have the pocket files, just go ahead and have 4 piles on your tabletop. All right, then we're looking for 3 gold. So that's this color here, this deeper mustardy color. 3 of those going in pocket 5 and 6, and then the 3 light yellow going in pocket 7 and 8. Okay, the next thing we'll do is set aside all the other goodies, and I typically have my students leave them in the bag that they came in so they don't get misplaced, but I'm just gonna slide them off over here out of the way. And let's put our papers in the order we'll be using them. To see them easily, I'm going to just hold my paper upright so that I can see from the top edge what I'm looking for. The first piece I want you to find is one of the lemon prints. Pretty easy to identify since it has the lemons all over that. So one of those, I'm going to put it face down on my trimmer base, and then find the tile print. I love those tiles. Face down on your trimmer again. Next, find one of those beautiful blue planes, and then the dark yellow. So if you're not sure what's what, just compare, because there are 2 yellows in here and then the 1 gold. So we've got the light yellow, the gold, and the dark yellow. So grab 1 dark yellow. Now go to the back of your stack and let's find the sheet with all the borders on it. It's all borders, the whole thing. Put that face down, and then your other sheet of Cutaparts that has a big blue solid area on there. Put that face down. We'll continue sorting. We're going to take 2 gold now, the gold plane. There should be 2. Those go next. The other tile print face down. The remaining blue face, or I guess that doesn't have to face down. It's the same on both sides. How about the other lemon print is next. Face down. Dark yellow. And then 2 light yellow. It's a beautiful and warm Wisconsin summer day, and they are mowing the lawn outside my window. So if you hear lawn being mowed, that's what you're hearing. Okay, we're gonna begin with a little trimming of this lemon print. We're gonna place this right side up into the trimmer. So that would mean that these pots are in the lower right corner. And a nice easy cut here at 9. If this is your first time using the trimmer, just a couple of reminders. Make sure that the paper is flush at this top guideline at the number 9. Push down on this clear bar every trim you make and slice. That's all there is to it. Now slide all the way down to 3. So we're basically removing the borders from the print, and trim at 3, line it up nicely. Okay, so this piece goes in pocket 1 and 2, and when you file it, since it is 12 inches wide, so is the accordion pocket file. Just make sure it's kind of at an angle and hanging off the right edge or left edge, either way, just so that you can still see the numbers on the pockets. All right, then you have this wide piece here. So we're going to cut this horizontally at 8 and 4. Now here we have 2 pieces that are the same size that don't have a whole lot of art on them. It's just real faded. Both of those go in 7 and 8. And then we have this piece, we're going to trim horizontally at 3. So find your 3. And place this plainish one in 7 and 8. Now the piece that fell off, I'm going to take scissors and just go along the edge of that image here. And it's pretty easy to cut this. It doesn't have to be real perfect either. We're just going to maximize this guy and use it as an overlay to add a little dimension to the other lemon print. So this is going to almost be like a little pop-up. All right, with that removed, take the piece of art and plop it in pocket 3 and 4, and the rest of these pieces can go in the circular file. You have one last piece here, and that's going to go in pocket 1 and 2 with the other, and we're moving on to the tile print. All right, so let's situate this one. So the tiles are on the edges, and that this larger mustardy image here is in the upper right. Let's cut it 8 1/4. It's going to take us right next to this blue tile here. It's going to go through one of the other tiles. That's okay. 8 1/4, and then 3 1/2. So again, we're kind of removing those edges. This guy goes in 7 and 8 at an angle. And then the next strip from the middle, we're going to cut into sections. So just trim it at 9, 6, and 3. Take 2 of these rectangles. They're both going to go in 5 and 6. And then the other 2 will go in pocket 7 and 8. Doesn't matter what order things go into the pocket. It's all going to be removed. And then this last strip also in 7 and 8. If you're following along on the instructions, we did perform the trims on the first 2 pieces, and we're moving on to the second page, which is on the back of the first. We're going to cut a whole bunch of strips and then some rectangles. Our first cut is going to be at a big number to create a tiny piece. So we'll start at 11 3/4. And what I want you to do is allow the paper to just pile up here. Don't move anything after you make your cuts. So that was 11 3/4. Now we're moving down to 11 1/2. Then 11 1/4. Okay, now 10 1/4. So that's going to be an inch. 10 1/4. 9 1/4, another inch. 8. Notice I'm pushing on this clear bar every time. 6 3/4. 5 1/4. 3 3/4. Now, if you don't have a lot of confidence in your measuring, you can slow me down by adjusting your playback speed. I assure you that after you get some practice with the method, it will be a lot easier. Now, rotate this piece so it's horizontal, and we'll trim at 11 3/4, 10 3/4, 8 1/4, 5 1/2, 2 3/4. All right, that was a lot of numbers. We're going to take 2 of these rectangles that are the same size that are on the top of the pile, which is why I don't want you to move it, and we're going to place those in pocket 5 and 6. The next rectangle, 7 and 8. Now the next one is slightly narrower than the previous ones. That goes in 5 and 6 again. This little skinny guy goes in 3 and 4. And this one, this is a scrap, and in fact, it's the only scrap in the entire project, which is pretty amazing. Okay, now we have this whole pile of strips. I'm going to pick up the entire thing and just place it in the palm of my hand. It makes organizing a lot easier. So the 2 strips on the top, if you lost track, these are 1.5 inches wide, but they both go in pocket 3 and 4. The next 2 matching strips, they go in pocket 7 and 8. The next 2 matching, 1 and 2. You can see how having it in the palm of my hand to deal out is easy. Then 1 strip, 1 and 2. The next one in 5 and 6. And then finally the last one in pocket 7 and 8. Those are little paper ribbons, I call them. Moving on to the dark yellow pulling from our stack that we sorted earlier. So I like that pre-sort because it just keeps things moving. We're going to cut this one at 9. And again, stabilize on every trim. 6, rotate and trim at 8 and 4. We got those 3 4x6s. They all go in pocket 3 and 4. And the next strip, we're gonna trim just one of them, not two. The next two are the same size, by the way, but we're gonna trim one at 9, 6, and 3. And we made a bunch of squares. 2 of them go in pocket 1 and 2. The next one, 5 and 6. The last one, 7 and 8. This strip, let's trim at 8 1/4 and 4 1/4. This larger piece goes in 1 and 2. The next one, 5 and 6. And the last one, 7 and 8. We have arrived at our Cutaparts, and I'll just remind you that there is a hash mark in every corner of this print. Everything outside of the hash mark has to go. So we're going to trim that away, and that's going to be all the way around. And that trim is going to create the perfect 12 by 12 for us to cut into these strips. So I'm going to make a cut here, and I'm looking at that plus sign. I can't quite see at the bottom corner where my blade is quite yet, so I'm going to just cut a little shy of that line, and let me show you what that looked like. So do you see how most of it's gone, but I still have a little more? Now I'm going to rotate 1 turn, and this time, because that first piece is gone, I can see the edge of my blade down here and up here to align for a nice neat cut. Rotate again and line up the visually that little crop mark. And this time when I look left, I can see the 12 inches and get myself a nice cut. And I can see 12 inches here too. When I trim this, you can see it's taken off the tiniest hair of paper, thus giving me that perfect 12 by 12. We're having you do these cuts because that large format trimmer that we use in the industrial setting can't be accurate to the point where we want it. You can throw away those scraps, and then I'm going to position the paper in the trimmer with the yellow border on the right, and we'll trim at 11, and then 10 and or 9 1/2 rather. And when you check your blade here, you can kind of see that it's going to separate these two pieces. 8, 7 1/4, 6 1/2, 5 1/4, and 4. Notice all those numbers landed on the nearest 1/4 inch, which is nice. Rotate, and you're going to cut this one at 4 1/4. And if you want, you can remove the triangular shapes to create the tag. To do that, I just bring my blade down and kind of eyeball it to match the margin that you see on the other 3 sides. There you go. Clipped corner makes a tag. Isn't that amazing? All right, this goes in pocket 3 and 4. And this larger piece, now on this one, if you wanted to, you can just take scissors and visually follow the curve of this tag, curve of the print. If you want, you don't have to do this part, but I think it kind of adds a lot. There you go, a rounded corner. And it doesn't have to be perfect, it still looks great. And then these 2 little pieces are scraps. And you can file this in, let's see, pocket 5 and 6. With that complete, let's file our little borders now that have landed. I'm doing the same thing, picking them all up and holding them in my hand so I can deal them out. The first 2 go in pocket 3 and 4. These more narrow ones, 1 and 2. The 2 wide ones, 5 and 6. And then we have our yellow going in 7 and 8. Okay, now take the next sheet of Cutaparts and repeat the process of removing the perimeter. So just put me on pause while you do that, and I'll do mine. All right, here we go again with the border that's yellow will be on the right, and we'll cut at 11, 8 1/2, and 4 1/4. Rotate, and we'll cut at 6 1/4. Putting the large blue piece in pocket 1 and 2. And then these elements are all used on 3 and 4. For the next piece, let's place it horizontally. We're going to do this trim first, so that's going to be at 7. Once again, if you want, you can eyeball the corner clips. Another way to do it is with a craft knife, cutting mat, and ruler. The margin from the edge of the image to the edge of the paper should be 1/8 of an inch, which is just 1 cube on our grid ruler. But again, I eyeballed that and it looks just fine. Going into pocket 7 and 8. Next, let's take this piece and put it in the trimmer so that the leafy flower image is on the left. And we'll cut at 2 1/4, and then rotate so that the smaller box is on the right, and cut at 3 1/2. This piece, 5 and 6. That little tiny journaling prompt, 7 and 8. And then the olive oil, 1 and 2. Now we have another strip to trim here. Begin with the oval shape on your right, and we'll cut at 10 1/2, 7, and 3 1/2. Okay, now this framed image here, 7 and 8. A vertical journaling prompt, 5 and 6. The oil, also 5 and 6. And then everything in moderation, including moderation. If you want to grab scissors, totally up to you. And you can cut along the edge. Now, I do prefer to work with a scissors that has a long blade when I'm cutting an oval or a circle shape, because these smaller blades have to be opened more frequently. And every time you open a blade is when you create a little imperfection in the cut. There we go. Not so bad. That's used in layout 7 and 8. Finally, the last strip, 7 and 8. Let's get rid of our trimmer and we're ready to dry fit. Now, to dry fit simply means that we're assembling without adhesive, and you're going to start from layout 7 and 8 and work our way backwards. Take the entire pile of remaining papers and just take that whole stack and put it in front of you. Take the top sheet only and slide it to the right, spreading them out side by side. Just front and center like that. That gives me the base for pages 7 and 8, which are on the back of page 4 in your instructions, the bottom. It should say 7 and 8. Then we'll take our accordion pocket file, and I'm going to dig into pocket 7 and 8 to take everything out, and make sure you get everything. Look down on there, make sure they're in little pieces. And I do like to deal out so that I don't have to try to pick everything up off the table one piece at a time. So it's all kind of in the palm of my hand. It can be a little awkward sometimes, so I mean, you don't have to worry about it, but I find that this is the most efficient way. Now, the most narrow piece goes down on the lower right side, and the wider piece goes up on the left side, flush with the edge. Now, I'm going to take a little piece of this green paper ribbon here and just nudge it right up against the seam between the tile and the gold paper. Love that look. And we're going to sort of repeat that a little bit here on the right. So take one of those wider blue strips, same effect, and then we're going to nest it with the yellow that does not have a title on it. Now, across the top area of this layout on the left comes the yellow nested title that does have the words on it. And then this is could be confusing if you weren't doing this with me. So take this smaller remnant of that print, and that's going to go right here. And then you have a blue rectangle, and then you have this cut apart. So much road, so little time. Isn't that clever? All right, now I'm going to take a photo mat that's yellow and nest it with the white. Slight tilt on that. Then another yellow mat. Nest it with the white print, rather. And just kind of watch your tangent right here. Make sure this corner doesn't touch that corner. I'm going to keep it away. Maybe raise it a little bit. There we go. Then let's go to the right side for a minute. We're going to take these two rectangles from the print and put them side by side right at the top. To the right of that, it's going to fit this perfectly right into that opening, horizontal yellow mat that does not get nested. Then you have this kind of larger rectangle. You have a square and a rectangle. The larger rectangle is going to nest with your cute little drawstring bag, and then on top of the bag you're going to add some ribbon and this oval Cutaparts. Sweet. And then this square tucks behind, and our little journaling prompt goes down below here. How easy was that? Love it. Okay, let's peek at that finished layout so I can go over some details with you. Ribbon, first of all, you get 2 full yards of this gorgeous gold metallic grosgrain, and I stretched 2 pieces across this tag here, or this journaling, or this cut apart, and taped them. And then I stuck it down. Then I made a separate bow from that same ribbon. This is called my basic bow, and if you haven't seen my ribbon basics video and you want to know how to make that, check it out. It keeps a pretty nice low profile knot, which I like about the bow. And then I finished that off with the gold olive leaf charm here. I used our bookbinding glue dispensed from one of those little needle tip applicators to adhere that. For this, I wrapped the ribbon around the bag and then secured it on the back with tape, and then just added this to the top of the ribbon and nested it onto the base. On layout 7, not much to report here other than I added the other olive leaf charm right to the olive, which is, I think, super cute. And then down at the bottom here, I took a loop of the yellow ribbon, taped it to the back of that journaling prompt, and stuck it onto the layout. Then I lined up the button where I wanted it, which is kind of like on top of the white area on this journaling piece, and I pierced through it with a paper piercing tool. You can use a thumbtack or like an awl, whatever works, and then just some wax linen thread or wax cord from your stash. I used a needle and I just sewed on the button. You could glue it on as well, but I thought it was a little more secure that way, and that goes right through to the back. And you can see I also labeled the backs of my layouts with the number, the date or the month of the collection, the name of the collection, and my initials. There's a little side note there for you. Of note too that this whole section of 3 nested pieces is attached with foam adhesive circles. That, my friends, is 7 and 8. So without gluing anything down, I'm just gonna probably just get this out of the way for now so it doesn't lump up my pages. I'm gonna take just 7. This is a single 12 by 12 and slide it over on top of 8. Then take the next piece and we're going to put it on top of 7, and I believe it's positioned with this guy here. Maybe you can find some distinctive characteristics of the print. It doesn't really matter which way it's turned, but I do like the tiles running horizontally. Then you need to grab your accordion pocket file, reach into pocket 5 and 6, and I'm handling everything. Okay, how about we start up with these pretty strips here. I'm going to go bottom, just real close to the edge, maybe 1/4 of an inch from that, followed by one of the gold photo mats. Kind of frame that in there. Do you see how I'm creating an 1/8 inch border here? And then above that goes the other one. So again, it's framing this piece. Above that comes our cut apart here. And then there should be a yellow piece that matches the height of this. That's all intentional there for you. Now, I'm going to put out a series of these blue rectangles. There's going to be a skinnier one, and that's going to go pretty close to the top edge here, and then 2 more that are slightly wider. Why is that? Because this piece with the leaf is skinnier. Then you have a journaling prompt in the middle, and you're going to have this guy on the left. Now, let's just say you've got tons of photos and you don't want to mess around with all these little add-ons. Just put a photo right on top of that. The purpose of having art on these elements is to help you finish your layouts in the event that you don't have a lot of photos. Now, this piece, I think, goes right above the line on the tile grid here. Okay, those lines are kind of handy for keeping things on the level. 2 vertical, and then a yellow square. So those evenly spaced should be able to fit really nice in that area. The last two pieces get framed in like this. Look at that. Love it. It's like a puzzle, like the good quality puzzle, the way it comes together. All right, now this layout here on the right, I made a small loop of the gold satin ribbon and taped it to the back of the blue 3 times. And then attached these 3 pieces with foam adhesive and made another basic bow from my plentiful stash of the blue ribbon. Using the awl or paper piercing tool, you can just place the button over the tile and they just blend in. It was funny. Craig walked in, saw my layouts, and he's like, wow, those buttons blend in like they're not even there. It's crazy. I just can't, I'm so thankful it was a perfect match, just as we hoped. All right, now the facing page here. Oh, I've got a little tip for you. See how big the shadow is around the hole? And my punch is a little smaller, but let me show you how I punch that. So all I did was took a pencil and I marked the center of the hole. Then when I come in with my punch on the largest setting, which I believe is a 3/8 inch, all I have to do is center up the hole with the pencil mark, and that way the hole is punched in the middle rather than, like, I don't know, where it's harder to see. And there you have that, a little just knotted ribbon. I just cut a length of ribbon, put a knot in the middle, and trimmed off the ends. That is layout number, let's see, 5 and 6. Set those aside and do a slide. So taking the base, this blue, slide it over and place it on top. And then this bad boy, this is the base for 3 and 4. We are on the home stretch, my friends. It's pretty amazing. All right, everything out. Turn and your instructions now to the previous page. We're working backwards. And at the bottom, you're gonna find 3 and 4. All right, here we go. I'm gonna start out, I think, at the top here with this border strip, and it nests with the one that has, sometimes you just need a break in a beautiful place. Amen to that. Okay, then across the bottom, we're gonna repeat that to make like 2 anchoring points for our page here. Okay, horizontally, let's add a couple of white photo mats with some nice contrast here. I can even see this for a kids' lemonade stand, pool day, a shower, a wedding, a vacation to Mexico, a vacation to Europe, of course. All right, now we have this tag right here, and same punch trick, and wrap some ribbon around to the back. These elements get removed from the base and then placed in this corner here. This, you can round the corners, which I usually use a corner chomper. And I think I use the 1/4 inch setting on this one. This is totally optional, but I thought it added a nice touch. And then you can glue on one of these stunning filigree borders. So I thought the blue was a nice contrast to it. And then I even accented that with a bow. And then this piece that I've cut, you can fit that right here with some foam adhesive to make it pop a little bit. Just kind of brings it away from that paper for a nice, now I realize there's a seam there, not a big deal, it's almost invisible. Let's take a look. So here is that page. I did a couple of tricks. There's my first trick. Now you see how this element brings the art in front of the picture, or what's the mat right now, but it will be the picture as well. And I keep that area free of adhesive. And then I've got foam adhesive on the rest of this. Now these other pieces, I did the same kind of a trick, but this time I had to use a craft knife and cutting mat. So I figured out where I wanted my photo mats to go, and I made a mark where the photo mats came in contact with the image. And then I cut around the image so I could slide the mat behind it. I did the same thing in this corner with the leaves here. Totally optional, but again, I just love the print, and I thought if I just allow those pieces to come to the foreground, it's going to be beautiful and yet subtle. Then on layout number 3, a couple of just things to point out here. This I attached with foam adhesive, punched, threaded that hole with the beautiful light yellow taffeta edge ribbon, and just taped those ends around to the back. And I sewed on a button right over the top of one of the pieces of pottery here. Here, I spent a little time playing around with the arrangement. Now, one thing I want to point out is you cut out the lemon slice, the lemon itself, and when you do the leaves, you don't have to worry about the points at the end. I just tuck them underneath the lemon, and these three elements were attached without with just regular adhesive, and this one put in the foreground with a little bit of foam that really makes it pop. I love the look of that. All right, one last slide. So we'll stack layout 3 on top, and then take our last sheet of light yellow here to slide over, and then in front of me now is layout 1 and 2. Take everything out of that pocket. Make sure it's empty, not to confuse myself later on. And let's see, we're going to begin with this piece with the clean edge kind of at the top and the lemons facing down. Then the portion that has the pottery, that's going to go flush with the right edge over here. All right, now we have some nested borders we're going to add. So let's go with this wider blue, and then the strip that has the text. There are friends, there is family, and then there are friends that become family. Got a lot of those, which I'm very grateful. Now 2 vertical mats here, and then the other nested border to frame that in from beneath. This paper ribbon here is just going to add a little blue, carry that over to this side. And then we have our blue title here. 2 dark yellow squares beneath it. And then the other horizontal blue. The width of this piece matches the width of the photo mat. And then our last piece, you can do that little rounded corner as well, punch a hole, add some ribbon to it, and then we've got our little burlap bag. Okay, finishing touches again. When you have a wide ribbon like this, it can be very striking to simply just wrap it around the corner, secure the ends with tape. That's all I did. And then I glued this into place with our bookbinding glue. Everything else is straightforward. And then for layout 1, you can see I just looped some ribbon through the hole I punched and taped one little piece. It's like a 2-inch piece. Taped the ends rather. Then I made like a single knot in the ribbon and used a glue line to attach it. It's a nice, easy way to create a great effect without having to do any complicated knot tying. I'm not tying complicated knots. Oh, okay, that's the entire page kit. Boy, what do I have here? 35 minutes of original footage. That's not bad. It went together quickly. Again, if you're new, just be patient with yourself. As you work with this on a monthly basis, you'll get more and more efficient with it. I'm seeing it happen in a beautiful way on our Facebook chat group. So be sure to check out our chat group, share your finished layouts with your friends over there. I promise we're a really friendly, on-topic bunch. I love our little chat group. We've got a great thing going there. If you like this collection too and want to make some cards using these same types of methods, join me at the Mediterranean Card Kit Workshop. It's going to be a good time. And I'll see you right back here next month. Thanks for joining me.